welcome back to another episode of God Built This Podcast. I'm your host, Maxine. We're on episode 250. Before we get into this episode, make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel. Again, it's called God Built This Podcast. So just type that in and click that subscribe button, as well as leave a message, not a message, but leave a review, a positive one, of course, on whatever platform you listen to this podcast on. And I think that's about it. So before we get into these topics, though, I do want to talk about how I am the Black version of Karens. One thing about me is, if I'm going to complain, I'm going to complain. If I am, and not even the slightest bit inconvenience, just when it's a consistent, I give you an opportunity to get your shit right? I give you an opportunity to not continue poor customer service. And when I see a pattern of poor customer service, that is my opportunity now to be a Blairin, which is a Black Karen. So let's talk about the concierge service here at my apartment complex, and how I am just like at a loss for the level of poor quality it has been the past few months, honestly. And I knew it was around that time for me to move on and move forward into a new place. And I'm so grateful that I finally just did it. But I felt that inkling around a mark when there were some like logistical things being done that just didn't make sense to me. Like whenever you have a guest sign in or come to your apartment, they have to get out the car and sign in first rather than just being let up, and then you call downstairs letting downstairs know, this is a guest of mine, please let the guest up. Just little extra stuff like that's just so inconvenient to me. I just find that to be so infuriating. And it was at that mark that I felt like, yeah, I'm gonna move on. I'm going to find a new place. So it was that part. And it was also just the excessive homeless population that seems to be growing more. And no, they're not in the complex or like chilling around in the lobby area. But I remember one time I was walking, I think I talked about it here, where I was walking into the front doors, and I don't know, 2 feet away from me from that entrance point is this homeless person who's literally just standing still, locking eye contact with whoever wants to lock eye contact with him. And he just looks so like, maybe he's not in his right state of mind, obviously. Like maybe he's not aware of what he's doing. But I instantly spotted as soon as I got off the elevator and saw him. I'm like, oh, here we go. And thanks to me being someone who is always on guard, I knew what to do, and that was to not engage. And thankfully, nothing happened. I went into my apartment just fine, yada, yada, yada. And just a side note, this is YouTuber I watch her videos. It's this white girl who's around my age, and she's living in New York City, and she lives alone in a studio apartment also. And she, in a recent video, she's talking about how there's like, she's been having these like weird interactions, and like when she works out a lot, right? So then she's always wearing workout outfits, and as you know, with workout outfits, your body is more accentuated. You can see the curves on your body, and you could really demonstrate the growth that you've done to your body due to your exercises, right? So as she's about to head to her workout class, and mind you, she also takes a boxing class, has one of her workout classes. So she heads out, and right around from where she lives, she is always running into different types of people, whatever. And it's New York City. You're gonna run either into a bum or just someone who's bold, and who's willing to say whatever they want to you just because they want. And this guy was like commenting on her body or something like, oh, I like how you looking good or something like that. And oh, I wish I had a picture of you, a painting of you. Like they were just obviously being complimentary. But because, of course, it's a compliment that is unwanted, it's in her eyes uncomfortable. She's looking at it as harassment, of course. And I get that to an extent, of course. Like, if you don't want someone to compliment you or give you any attention, any flirtatious energy, then you're going to look at that as harassment. But if it's from someone who you actually are attracted to, then it won't be seen as that. Anyway, so she's like talking about how she's like, am I too nice? Like, maybe I shouldn't be so nice anymore. Because like these guys, they would start off by saying, oh, where are you heading off to? And she'll answer the question. She'll actually be like, oh, I'm heading to my boxing class. And as she's telling us in her YouTube video, she's saying that her hope in saying that she's going to a boxing class is that the guy would know, oh, she could beat me up. She could punch me right dead in my face. So let me stop talking to her. That's literally what she's thinking in her head. Like, girl, even if this man has not been punched by a woman in so long or hasn't been in a fight in so long, you think he's really scared of this little white little woman talking about, I go to a boxing class, I know how to do a 1-2 punch? Like, he is not afraid of that line. Like, girl, bye. So he obviously didn't pick up on that, right? He just saw it as an opportunity. He took that as an invitation to continue the conversation, and somehow the conversation finally ended, or she just finally got to wherever she was going to. But the point is, like, you have these white girls in these predominantly, and I'm not gonna say black situations because it could be any bum, right? But you have these white innocent girls who think, oh, if I'm just nice, he'll leave me alone, right? If I'm just being polite, he'll leave me alone. And it also comes down to being taught to be this good girl conditioning from being a young girl, you know? So beyond being a white girl thinking like this is also a black girl experience, yada, yada, yada. The point is, I'm tired of that also, right? And yet the difference between me and her is I know not to engage. It's not about being polite. It's not about, let me just answer his question so he'll leave me. No. The bare minimum that I would do, and that's what I suggested for her, I left a comment and I was just like, look, I understand the frustrations, but you also have to accept the fact that that is commonplace for living in the big city. Honestly, whenever you live in a metropolitan area, you're gonna run into a lot of people who are homeless, a lot of people who are mentally ill and don't know the gesture to not leave you be. So it's like, it's not about, oh, they're being so rude. It's just, you have to accept people are not in the same headspace as you. And I was saying how at the bare minimum, I would barely make eye contact with people like that. And I just do like a head nod, a slight head nod, like, okay. But there was one time, it was a few weeks ago. I'm walking around my complex and there's this city worker, and I know he's a city worker because he's wearing this uniform, and I've seen him or people like him wearing that uniform. So I'm assuming it's someone who's cleaning up the area. So I know it's, you know, someone who's working for the city. He's in uniform, and it's literally just me on that block at that time and him. He's on the other side and I'm across. So I'm walking, and you know, when you walk in between buildings, you can see your reflection. And for whatever reason, I wanted to look at my reflection. And so I look back, or I look to my side, and of course he's staring me down, unbeknownst to me, until he says, "Oh, you still look good, Ma. You still look good." As I'm walking, but and I didn't realize he was talking to me until he repeated it again, and then I realized, oh, no one else is here right now. Of course he's talking to me. Of course, right? Because I'm a narcissist. Of course. So of course he's talking to me, and he's wanting me to engage. But no, I'm gonna make you look stupid for keeping on with that phrase and engaging with someone who's not interested in a conversation with you. And he's across, like, you're over there, I'm over here, stop. He's like, of course, you still look good, Ma. I see you checking yourself out, you still look good, Ma. I'm just trying to get back inside. Anyway, so, back to me being a blaring. I was just noticing, look, I was so honored to experience having such quality service here, initially when I moved here, and it's been an overall good experience. Like, I don't really have any poor reviews aside from what I'm about to say. And I just feel like if you're just the name concierge is so fancy. Isn't it French, right? I think it's a French origin. And I just feel like if you're supposed to be a concierge, actually be at the desk. Right? Like, hey, can your presence be known? Like, why every time I'm walking through, especially during particular times of the day, and no one's there? Like, nobody's there. It's literally the ghost. There is Omari Hardwick there. Like, it's ghost. And I'm just trying to understand what type of service is this? So, of course, me being who I am, I sent an email to the manager and basically just writing out my qualms with this and explaining how service has declined over the past couple of months, and this is very disappointing. And one may think, well, you're moving in a few weeks, Maxine. It doesn't even matter. You're leaving. So what? No, it does still matter. It does. It matters to me. And if some improvement can be made, or at least start to be made prior to my vacancy, I will feel good, and I feel like I am doing a justice or a service to everyone in here. Like, everyone should be thanking me at this point. But no, see, I just feel like it's just off of principle. Like, off of principle, you should be doing things in a better manner. And I'm not going to sit back and just shut up just because I'm about to move soon. No, just off of principle, you should know this is the quality of service that is being received, and it's not okay. And I didn't get a response until 2 days later. And I was a little concerned because I'm like, dang, they're usually quick when I email. But eventually I did get the response 2 days later. And it was a very well done response. Like, I'm actually happy with this response. I think it was well communicated. Just her commitment to making sure that things get better. And unbeknownst to me, apparently this was something that has been noticed prior to me sending this email, and they're in an ongoing improvement phase to finding a new concierge service, because I guess they work with another company. So they're on some type of development with that. And she was just very detail oriented in this email, explaining all of the points that I said. I also said, like, I want to know the solutions. Like, basically, I'm looking forward to hearing the solutions to the concerns I raise, and yada, yada, yada. And so she addressed all, like, literally, it was a long response, very well said, very well put. She addressed everything that I said. I feel 100% satisfied with her response. And I feel like I believe that things are being done. It's just I'm not seeing the result yet, the positive result yet. But I do hope that at least before I move, that things will look like it's getting better. But nonetheless, at least I said what I said and it's done. Okay, so let's get into these topics. Watching the TV with the good. Shout out to Freckles Bay with this text. No, so let's talk about this mom who she's mad at another mom because she denied her daughter from the birthday cake. This is such a silly story. Okay, let's get into it and I'll tell you how I feel about it. So this was discussed a few weeks ago and I've been meaning to talk about it, so let's get into it now. So the title of this headline is Mom Slams Parent Who Denied Her Daughter Cake After Welcoming Her to Playground Birthday Party. So this person created a TikTok. Her name is Kat Stickler. And she explained that she's about to mom shame another woman. And her initial start in this video was, this is a question. Am I entitled or was this messed up? 2 hours ago, literally right now, my daughter MK and I were at the park in my neighborhood. And it was us and this birthday group. Literally just us and this birthday group. These kids are having a birthday party. MK's playing with them for like half an hour. They're making friends. Because of the very cute scene playing out in front of her, Stickler still stayed close. It comes time to sing happy birthday and MK goes over. She's one of the group right now. They're welcoming her with open arms, or so I thought, she continues. Time to eat cake. I see MK. I see her intention of grabbing a piece of cake. So I walk over to make sure it's okay as a formality, honestly. It's cake, and it's a massive cake. There were lots of leftover pieces, she notes. Stickler was surprised when the host took the piece of cake away from her daughter. The mother takes the plate away from MK and gets down to her level and says, "You cannot eat this cake, okay? This is not your birthday party. These are not your friends. Where's your mother?" Stickler, who watched this all play out, was floored, but didn't share how she reacted toward the mom. Many commenters were in awe of how the situation shook out and why a mom would shut down a little girl like that, seemingly without reason. "This is so weird to me. Poor MK," someone commented. "Every good mom includes all the kids no matter what," added another commenter. Now, here's what I think is a little interesting here. So this mother, she said first that she went up to someone. We don't know who she went up to, but apparently she went up to someone. She was like, "Is it okay?" I'm trying to see where I can find that. I just lost it. There we go. She said, "Okay, time to eat cake. I see MK. I see her intention grabbing a piece of cake. It's okay. Piece of cake. Da, 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 da." No, wait. It comes time to sing happy birthday. MK goes over. She's one of the group right now. They're welcoming her with open arms. So I thought, time to eat cake. Okay, I see her intention of grabbing a piece of cake. So I walk over to make sure it's okay as a formality. Okay, so when she said she walked over to make sure it's okay, who did she walk over to? Did she just walk over to the table and no one else was there from that party? You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm kind of confused about. Because if you walked over and you spoke to the mother directly and asked, "Hey, is it okay if my daughter had a cake also?" Then your daughter wouldn't have been denied cake. But you saying you walk over has a formality didn't serve any justice to this moment. Like, it didn't help anything because your daughter still got denied. So somebody's lying. That's one. That's a lie. She didn't walk over She did not do a whole formality, because if she did, she would have known either her daughter was not going to get the cake, or it would have been okayed from the beginning that, oh, it's okay if your daughter eats the cake, it's totally fine. You know what I mean? She wouldn't have been surprised at the end. So this story of, I can't believe a mother denied another child some cake, especially if there was so many left over. First of all, this wasn't your birthday party. I'm sorry, that sounds so rude, but it wasn't your birthday party. And sure, yeah, your daughter was hanging out with the kids at this birthday party at a public place outside at the park. It was just you and this birthday group. I get it. But again, you can't just let your kid go up to another assembly and ask for the food that's there for the people who were already set up to eat that food. You're like, it's just rude. Like, you don't allow that. No matter how cool things were happening between you and the kids. And, it's just like, I just never understood the entitlement that some people have. Like, you don't just go up to someone and be like, okay, here, I'm ready to get some cake. I'm ready to have some of your food, even though I wasn't invited. This is not my party. I don't know anyone here. And yes, kids will be kids and they make friends easily, sure, but it's still not a position for you to feel entitled in thinking that your child, who is a stranger to everyone here, is entitled to a piece of cake. I don't care how innocent things are. No. Like, what are we talking about? No, your child can't eat my cake. No, your child can't eat my daughter's cake. I don't care. No. And I get it. You want to be like, oh, and look, I think the nice thing to do is to allow it. But I just feel like, just off principle, you as the mother, had she really gone up to the parent and asked for permission, then it would have been okay, right? Then we could probably talk about any possible allergies. Hey, this cake have, carrot in it. A carrot cake for a kid, I guess that's not realistic. But nonetheless, this cake has this in it. Are you sure? Is this okay? Just kind of looking out for any possible just side effects for it. But this whole expectation of, oh, my kid was playing with your kid and why couldn't I have a piece of the cake? That's not realistic. So no, I don't agree with the mother calling out the other mom and feeling entitled. I don't care how much food I had left over. No, you weren't invited. Okay. I know this story of the submersible has been discussed time and time again. I'm kind of over it myself. Let's say if it is all true. Sorry, I'm over here thinking that maybe shit is just said for our distraction sometimes. But I'm just gonna be on the fence of, or be on the side of that it is true. I do feel sorry for the lives that were lost. Like, that is terrible. And I am going to critique the fact that people decided to indulge in this experience knowing that safety measures weren't approved or properly regulated to ensure a safe return. So it's also stupid. It could have been prevented. And honestly, I get the obsession with the Titanic. I do. Like, I love history. I love learning about the past. I love learning about the different key figures who have made lasting effects. But I just feel like some things could be learned in a different way without your life being at risk. And to my knowledge of this submersible tube, they weren't even going to, it'll be one thing if they could have swam closer to the actual Titanic ship and touched it. Maybe they could be in this this protected equipment that will allow them to walk in it while still obtaining enough oxygen to do so. But when that's not done, and yet you're in a tube, and the only contact you have, there's no window in the tube from what I've learned. There's no window. There's no way to get out of it and swim out. You actually are just looking through a screen, like a tablet, and that tablet is showing you the Titanic. It's just it's so silly, and it's also a testament to how billionaires are bored. If they're not being a Bill Gates trying to dictate what you should eat and what vaccines you should get, they're going to do other dumb shit with their money because they have the money to do that. So, again, my condolences to the lives that were lost. And I want to talk about the stepson here, because he received a lot of criticism for deciding to go to a Blink 182 concert during the time of his stepfather being lost, and all connection was lost during this time, and people was trying to find out, is he alive, what happened, yada yada yada. So I'm going to insert this clip here.
Here are the facts, okay? Believe it or not, I have about $100 to my name. I can't go out to the ocean. I have a legal situation keeping me here as well. I can't get on a flight. I don't have a passport. I was sitting here yesterday watching the news for 2 days straight. I go to a Blink 182 show because they have a ticket. It wasn't like I was having super fun. It wasn't like I was celebrating, having a great time. I was kind of just listening to some of my all-time favorite songs, kind of nodding my head and just trying to get off the phone for maybe 2 hours or so and come right back into the drama. The submarine is stuck at the damn Titanic. There's nothing I can do for the situation at all. So that's the truth. So you take a complete Cardi B, has no idea what's going on. Her career is in such turmoil, she needs clout off other people's suffering. And she's like, he won't go help. Blah, blah, blah. He goes to a rock concert, this and that. Tries to use the situation to exploit, the news. They're not feeling sorry that my mom has to take care of 2 kids. Not really giving a fuck. My stepdad's probably 99% chance he's dead. That doesn't matter. Doesn't care how we feel. Just trying to make gains. People trolling, getting hate mail, all these things. And it's just, and to have Cardi B behind it, Cardi B, oh up, get some class. You're tasteless.
Okay. So at this time here, he is being criticized for deciding to continue his life, deciding to continue with his day-to-day activities. And it was an opportunity to go see Blink 182. Maybe he's been a big fan of them forever, and now was the time to go see them live. And look, I don't know how I feel about that. Yes, he should be concerned and on pins and needles and so upset. And maybe he shouldn't have posted. Maybe he shouldn't have gone. But at the very least, maybe he shouldn't have posted that he went to the concert and that he's so excited and as if nothing is going on with his stepfather. But it does make me wonder, does he have or did he have a close relationship with his stepfather? Because when you think about step relationships, whether it's a stepmom and stepdaughter, stepfather and stepson, sometimes it's a hit or a miss. You know, sometimes you hit it off with your step whatever, and sometimes you don't. And maybe in this case, he didn't hit it off with him. And you also have to keep into the mix that these billionaires, more often than not, they made their money off of the dirt of other people and off of being grimy human beings. So maybe he wasn't the best person. You know, like maybe he didn't have great character traits. So I just think it's just a testament to their relationship. You know, it's a testament to him not really getting along with him. He also looks like he has... Okay. It's a testament to us that they probably didn't have a close relationship, that they probably weren't close. And it just is what it is. Like, I don't think it's that much of a big deal. Like, I just think, look, what could he have done? Could he have gone down the water, you know, the ocean? And where is the Titanic exactly? Like, what part of the ocean is it in? Where is the Titanic? Okay. It's in the North Atlantic Ocean. Okay. So, after the submersible went underwater and never came up, the Coast Guard launched a search and rescue mission. For over a century, what's left of Titanic has remained at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. Okay. So that's where it's been. So according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the Titanic was near Newfoundland, Canada, about 400 miles of the coast when it tragically sank. Now, 111 years later, the wreckage 111. Shout out to the numerologists out there. What does that mean? The wreckage remains about 350 miles from Newfoundland. Okay. Will the Titanic ever be raised? Since the Titanic sank in 1912, people have been imagining ways to raise it from the bottom of the sea floor, but it will never come out. The deep sea and the ship. Okay, that was from that. But why won't it? Like, why can't they, Google always have the questions for you. That's what's up. Okay, the question asks, why can't they bring up the Titanic? Inhospitable terrain. If the submersible is on the ocean floor, it would nearly be... ocean floor. It would be nearly impossible to rescue. Experts say that Titanic wreck is about 2.5 miles below the surface. Ooh, that's so scary. The submersible lost contact. Okay, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the Titanic. But okay, I think the same answer just remains, that the terrain in general, because it's so beyond the surface that it's too far gone, I guess. Inhospitable terrain. It would be nearly impossible to rescue. Wow. On Twitter, people were talking about the spirits of the water, and how if you go too deep into the water, you will come across different spirits of the water. Let's talk about water spirits. And apparently, when I write this down in Google, it finishes the sentence. Like, you could click whichever options they give you. And one of the options is water spirits in the Bible. So the Bible also references water spirits, if anyone is interested in checking that out. So water spirits, Mami Wata, is an African spirit that is known for being in the water. Dangerous. Okay. At once beautiful, protective, seductive, and dangerous, the water spirit Mami Wata is celebrated throughout much of Africa and the African Atlantic. I hate when they say Africa, like the whole continent celebrates Mami Wata, or specific areas. Like people just be like, oh, the spirit of America. Like, no, the spirit of the southern areas of America, or the northern areas, the western, like, not just America. It's just so silly. Or North America, actually, because that's the continent. Okay, so Africa, throughout Africa in general. There's a show that I watch called Summer House, Martha's Vineyard, and one of the guys' girlfriend, she was traveling from Africa to come see him, and he keeps saying that throughout his interviews. Whenever he's talking about her, he's like, yeah, she's traveling from Africa, like from the whole continent. She's traveling from the whole continent. From where? Just tell, like, and sure, maybe not everyone knows the different countries in Africa, but this will be an educational moment that we could learn of that African country, right? So if you're referencing, I know people, everyone knows Ghana, but let's think of another African countries. Okay, let's see. I want to say one that is not really said. Okay, let's do this. Burkina Faso. That is an African country. So why don't he just say if she was there, oh, my girlfriend, she's traveling from Burkina Faso in Africa. Oh, Burkina Faso is an African country. You know what I mean? Like that's located in Western Africa. And I'm actually learning this right now. Burkina Faso is a landlocked country in West Africa with an area of yada yada yada. Okay. You know what I mean? Don't just say Africa. Cape Verde is in Africa, even though many of the Cape Verdeans I grew up with in Boston definitely denied their black heritage. Like, they were just, we ain't black. Okay. But you're from a country in Africa, my dear. Your mama's black. You're black. Okay. Malawi and other, like, these are all countries in Africa. We have to do better. Anyway, so people were saying, oh, maybe they went too far. Maybe they went too far into the water and they came across different water spirits that were offended of their pursuit. Who knows? But I do believe in all that stuff. I do believe that there are different spirits in different land, different terrain, and the water is so mysterious. The ocean is so mysterious. It's so vast. We don't know the floor of the ocean. Like, we don't know when it ends, how deep it goes. In some areas, it's so deep. That's what she said. It's so deep that it's impossible to make it to the bottom and make it out alive, because I guess the terrain is so deep, and the way that the water is in general, it just does what it does. You have to be one with the water, especially in order to survive. So yeah, I just find it fascinating. Anyway, I'll probably look into that just on some curiosity type of stuff. But yeah, I've heard of Mami Wata. I'm familiar with that as far as the name and a little bit about that spirit. But yeah, there are multiple water spirits. And so yeah, that's a conspiracy people are just like flushing out. Maybe they went too far and came across a water spirit that definitely was not pleased with them. Okay, so while we were so focused on the submersible, Hunter Biden pled a deal from the charges that he faced. And let's talk about these charges, because I don't hear enough of this coming out from the mainstream news sources that we typically hear our news from. So it's multiple things here. Let's start from the beginning. The United States Attorney for the District of Delaware filed charges today against Robert Hunter Biden, aka Hunter Biden of Los Angeles. Hunter Biden has been charged with 2 misdemeanor tax offenses and a felony firearm offense, and has agreed to enter a plea of guilty to the tax offenses and enter into a pretrial diversion agreement with regard to the firearm charge at a proceeding to be scheduled, yada, yada, yada. So he pled guilty. And typically when you plead guilty prior to getting a trial, that means that you struck a deal with the district attorney and you're able to complete a shorter sentence or just a more pleasing deal in comparison to going through trial. So Hunter Biden received taxable income in excess of $1.5 million annually in calendar years 2017 and 2018. Despite owing in excess of $100,000 in federal income taxes each year, he did not pay the income tax due for either year. So he pulled a Wesley Snipes, right? He pulled a Wesley Snipes and it went a little too far. Let's talk about the firearm situation. So for firearm, on or about October 12th, 2018 through October 23rd, 2018, Hunter Biden possessed a firearm despite knowing he was an unlawful user of and addicted to a controlled substance. So I guess what this is saying here, that if you have an addiction to a controlled substance, you are not eligible in possessing a firearm, which makes sense. But I didn't know that was like an actual written rule somewhere. Excuse me. So Hunter Biden is charged with 2 violations of failure to pay income tax and 1 violation of unlawful possession of a firearm by a person prohibited. If convicted, he faces a maximum penalty of 12 months in prison on each of the tax charges and a maximum penalty of 10 years in prison on the firearm charge. Look, this could go either way. Like, he could be slapped on the wrist. It could be a couple of years or months, has a reaction to this. I don't know, but I feel like since he pled guilty, that means there should be some type of sentence charge, right? Like, there should be some type of repercussion of that sort. It's not like, oh, you plead guilty, you just pay a fine, right? Yeah, because at the very least, 12 months is what he would face, a maximum of 12 months. So it could be less than 12 months, but nonetheless, 12 months is the time given for the maximum penalty on each of the tax charges. So 12 month for one of them and another 12 month for the other has maximum, and a maximum of 10 years. So it could be, again, less than 10. Nonetheless, when will we know exactly what the consequence will be? I just want to see things play out. You know what I mean? We've been having a lot of undercover, covered conversations about Hunter Biden, this laptop, money that he was given by the Chinese. It's like, why can't he get money from Chinese? No, I just think it's funny because it's like, oh, he got money from Chinese. Like, okay, so. But no, I get it. We're at war with them. I mean, whatever. Nonetheless, I just want to see how this plays out, because people think like, oh, nothing happens to these people when they get charged, or, you know, because he's a Biden or because he's in this family. But au contraire, if you look, you will find information and see how the case is going. So I just find that to be interesting that we were distracted, unfortunately, because the media has a way of only pushing out what they want you to look at the most, right? What they only want you to be focused on. So we were distracted with the whole Titanic, submersible, people unfound, and them losing oxygen and being exploded. And of course, no one or not a lot of people will go out of their way and be like, hey, wasn't Hunter Biden getting arrested for something, or did he did something, right? Not a lot of people go out their way to research on their own dime. But what I do appreciate about the world that we're in, people have to publish what's going on. Like, I guess it's some type of law with the world that whatever is happening, even if they don't want you to find out about it, it's still out there for your consumption. But it's up to you to find it. That's the only tricky part, right? So if you don't have an interest to know more about Hunter Biden and what's going on with him, then you probably won't see it on your algorithm, right? But if you're someone who is interested in knowing, hey, what happened? Because I heard that he got arrested, or I heard that he had this tax offense. What happened with that? And if you go out of your way to go ahead and go on Google and find more information, the information is out there. So I just that made me feel good about the world that we're in, that the information is out there. It's up to you to find it. So it was pretty relieving to know that the information is out there. And once I clicked in Google, I found what I needed to see. So those are the charges, right? So now let's get into what else I found. So his plea deal specifically focused on him agreeing to plead guilty. And this headline is from the NPR website. Hunter Biden agrees to plead guilty in tax case. Oh, sorry, my nose is killing me right now. Oh, allergies. Sorry. Hunter Biden agrees to plead guilty in tax case and avoid prosecution on gun charge. So that's the thing that makes me a little confused, because he could just avoid prosecution. Maybe he's avoiding it because he pled guilty earlier. I think that's what I said earlier. Like, when you agree to a plea prior to getting a trial, that's because you got a good deal. I've watched a lot of Law and Order SVU to know a little bit about this. Just a little bit, at least. Okay, so let me read this one. So Hunter Biden has been charged with federal offenses related to his taxes and business dealings. The younger Biden has agreed to plead guilty to 2 misdemeanor offenses related to his filing of federal income taxes. Federal authorities also charged him with a felony firearm offense for which he agreed to enter a pretrial diversion agreement that allows him to avoid prosecution. So because he agrees to a pretrial diversion agreement, he does not need to have a full-on prosecution case in the courthouse. So let's look into what a pretrial diversion agreement means, because I am not familiar. So what is a pretrial diversion agreement? It keeps on saying in Texas. So let's just look at it in regards to it being here in Texas. So it says here, if you've been arrested on criminal charges, you may want to learn more about Texas pretrial diversion, sometimes called pretrial intervention. In short, the program is a way to avoid a conviction. So he won't do 10 years or less than, probably won't do 2 years, maybe a couple of months, if that, because he has agreed to a pretrial diversion. Oh, divert. It's in the name. I'm going to divert from getting the maximum or getting a real penalty. So in short, the program is a way to avoid a conviction and have the charges dismissed. So him owning a gun will be dismissed once you meet certain conditions. So what are these conditions? You should discuss your situation with a Texas criminal defense lawyer, but some background information may be helpful. What? That's crazy. Just like that. Oh, the privilege. The Texas criminal justice system offers pretrial diversion, has a way for certain offenders to avoid prosecution so long as they meet eligibility rules and comply with conditions set by the court. It's a voluntary program with pros and cons you need to know before you opt in. So some pros include you avoid the charges entirely as they're dropped once you complete the terms of your pretrial diversion. You avoid prison so you can continue work and regular activities. Some of the cons are you enter a guilty plea as part of the arrangement, which is what he did. That's why he pled guilty. Okay, so now I'm getting it even more. If you violate the terms of your pretrial diversion, the prosecutor can resume in pursuing the case against you. Okay. There are some exceptions and flexibility related to the pretrial diversion program, but some of the rules are you must be a first-time offender. So is he a first-time offender? You cannot have history involving your previous pretrial diversion. So this may be his first pretrial diversion. The crime must be a misdemeanor. The misdemeanor, hold on. Is possessing a gun when he's not supposed to possess one, is that a misdemeanor? I know the misdemeanor of, he had a misdemeanor of the federal income taxes of not filing it. But is it a misdemeanor to possess a firearm? Let me type that in. Is it a misdemeanor? Mr. Bitch going it down. I'm the hottest round. To possess a firearm. Child, it's too much to read right now. Anyway, if only I had a producer who could do that for me. But, okay, so he accepted a plea deal because I'm sure he met the eligibility. The crime must be a misdemeanor. So it may be a misdemeanor. Who knows? But definitely the filing of the federal income taxes, that is a misdemeanor. Also, the offense cannot be one related to family violence. Okay, we don't see any records of that. Anyone arrested for crimes of sexual nature is not eligible. So nothing has been said about him being a predator. And finally, you cannot be a documented member of a gang. And that is, I guess he met the mark, huh? Look at that. Slap on the wrist. And just like that, Hunter Biden is free. MAGA! All right, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and end the episode here. Thank you so much for listening, and I will check in with you all next time. Peace. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of God Built This Podcast with your host, Maxine. If you liked it, leave a review, share, and subscribe. God bless.